Who in the world would be better to talk about Donald Trump's love-hate relationship with the press than our next guest, Jim Rutenberg, the media columnist for the New York Times, who has a piece out this week about Sean, I am not a journalist, Hannity, and the advice he's been giving to the Trump campaign. Jim, thank you for coming on the show, as always. Oh.
Glad to be here. Oh.
Sean Hannity's role with the campaign is what?
Well, let's just say that he's not only a very supportive television host, he's also an advice giver. He would kind of reject the advisor label, though not entirely. He admits that he has a lot of interaction with the campaign, with the candidate, with people around the candidate, his son, Don Jr., that he's a kind of full-service, supportive TV host who's not a journalist.
So if you called him a Trump whisperer, would he reject that?
I think he'd proudly. I think he'd proudly like that. Yeah, I think so.
What sort of confuses me is there is so much talk on the campaign trail, usually from Republicans, about liberal media bias. And here you have a moment where two former news heads are active advisors to a political campaign, and someone who's currently on TV is advising a political campaign, and yet there's no discussion about that.
Right. I've used this before, but the tail that wagged the dog is now the dog.
Yes. We're two like a large
Picture
dog,
that.
a very large dog.
Do you buy any of this? We just talked to Murphy and Feldman about this a little bit. Do you buy at all the conspiracy theory that Trump basically doesn't care anymore about? He knows he's going to lose the election, but between Bannon, Ailes, Hannity, he's basically setting himself up to run a media empire after he loses inevitably in November?
I buy it halfway. I do not. I think and I believe that he wants to win the presidency. I believe that. I mean, I have no reason not to, aside from, little tea leaf things. Nothing definitive. That said, he has had amazing success. He's drawn ratings, and we've heard him complain. I draw the ratings to CNN. Why aren't I getting a cut of that money or give it to charity? I think he said at one point. So I don't doubt that he's interested in making a media play.
To what degree do you think that the sort of Trump support that he's been getting on Breitbart has been explicit in the newsroom?
Explicit in the...
That it's been an editorial sort of brief that people are familiar with. I mean, we are, the support for those policies and that kind of political campaigning.
I think at Breitbart, it seems as if it was pretty explicit after the Michelle Fields instance. This was a Breitbart reporter was manhandled allegedly, really roughly by Corey Lewandowski, his campaign advisor, his manager, and Breitbart sided with the Trump campaign at the time over its own reporter.
So if yes, I think that's true. So if it looks increasingly like Trump might want to make a media play as we get a little closer to November, does there come a moment where Fox says, whoa, we're now propping up a potential competitor? Like, let's get out of here and get cozy up with Hillary Clinton. We've seen Murdoch do
cozy up with Hillary Clinton.
We've seen Rupert Murdoch do this before. Tony Blair. He at various times in the past.
But Fox was created specifically to be an answer to what was seen as liberal bias in the media, wasn't it?
It was, however, Murdoch at one point, the New York Post, there were stories about this back maybe during her Senate campaign, her last one, that there was some friendliness. I don't know, because the Fox audience, part of it loves Trump. And when Megyn Kelly fought with Trump earlier this year, that was a problem with segments of their audience. So I don't know. I mean, it's intriguing, and I wouldn't rule it out. But again, they're running a business, and they need to keep their own ratings.
All right. So Gawker is dead, and there's so many obits and reminiscences and eulogies that one of our millennial staffers has installed a Gawker blocker on his social media, so he doesn't have to read any more about this publication. Should we care? I mean, we, New York culture, media culture, us in the business, America.
The Fourth Estate.
Is it a good thing, bad thing?
Even the Fifth Estate. I think we should care on two levels. One, Gawker was kind of part of the media, just for we media denizens. It was part of the media culture. It was the modern sort of iteration of Spy magazine. It was irreverent. It went too far. A lot of things it did I didn't love, offended me, sometimes a lot. That said, it kind of stood for all-out internet era journalism. But to me, much more importantly, is that a billionaire put it out of business through lawsuits. And people who say, well, how can you defend Gawker, who think that Gawker was dastardly, who's next?
Right.
With all due respect, Jim Rutenberg, I was a longtime tween reader of Spy magazine, and Gawker was no Spy magazine.
Well,
I'll just leave it there.
I would agree with you. It was the brattier younger brother, or
second cousin,
twice
removed.
Or maybe removed.
But you basically take by the argument, the notion that Gawker may have been irresponsible, may have done horrible things, but Gawker did not bring this on itself. The story here is A ruthless billionaire put a publication out of business. That's end of story.
Even if Gawker did bring some of it upon itself, a billionaire putting a media organization out of business because he doesn't like what they're writing, though he says, well, I wouldn't do it to you, the New York Times or the Washington Post. What's to stop an oligarch from Russia coming over to, I mean, probably a lot of things. But anyway, what's to stop some other billionaire doing it?
Or maybe not.
Jim Rutenberg, I have a word of advice for you, okay? Actually, several words, one sentence, okay? Don't piss off Peter Thiel, okay?